All right, the 49ers. We already here with the injury, Brug. I get it. Nick Bosa has been out for a long time. And, producer Jason the Bass, we have a group thread right now, and he's like, is there something to this hold-in potentially? Is this a hold-in from one Nick Bosa when it comes to him not, being a participant in training camp? I guess, by all accounts, he's working off to the side. He's looking fine there. Let's start there before I break down my compare and contrast.
Let's get into this Bosa thing
with
here
the Golden
a little
State
bit.
Warriors and 49ers, because I do have a compare and contrast I want to get to when it comes to those two teams and expectations in general.
Well, I thought you had an interesting question before the break of just are the Niners in Super Bowl or bust mode or not. Well, I kind of like that thought.
Well, let's start here. The reason why a lot of people weren't talking themselves into the Niners as a legit contender last year was because of all the injuries. It was a fun story. It was nice, but eventually it's going to come crashing down, and it did ultimately in that divisional round against the Seattle Seahawks. They got absolutely humbled and destroyed in that game. There was just a clear talent discrepancy overall there. And one of the reasons was you were missing a guy like Nick Bosa, right? A guy that helped change the game in week 1 in Seattle when he had that game-saving strip sack fumble against Sam Darnold, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. So you were missing a guy like that. You were missing a guy like Fred Warner. Obviously, in that playoff game in Seattle, you were missing George Kittle. He had lost a week prior due to a torn Achilles. You were missing players all across the board. Obviously, you had no Brandon Ayuk that whole season. You thought maybe he could have been a bonus, but you didn't have him. You were relying on Juwan Jennings. You were relying on the carcass that was Ricky Pearsall at the time with a bum PCL. Sounds harsh, but that's the case.
Carcass.
The guy was, every time he got tackled, felt like he was getting slow to get up. And it wasn't working with Ricky.
He was like Jackson Dart all that time in the blue tent.
It's true.
Except he understood why.
And you relied on Christian McCaffrey, who had probably his worst yards per carry season in San Francisco, to be not only your best running back, to be at times your best wide receiver. So I say all that to say there was a talent discrepancy, and you tried to rectify that this offseason, right? You needed a bona fide stud number 1 wide receiver. Okay, you got that. Mike Evans, who by all accounts had his best practice, I guess, over the weekend. All right, great.
Yeah, last week I was kind of a little bit worried, like, he's not practicing quad, he's 32, blah, 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 injuries. I'm choosing to not worry about Mike Evans. Whether or not I should or not, I am deciding, you know what? I think Mike Evans is going to be okay.
I'm with you, right? If he stays healthy, he will be a significant improvement in the wide receiver room. Absolutely. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. His game is never really predicated on elite speed, right? He's got great size and strength.
And he can get up and get those balls.
And he can high point the ball the best. 50-50, he's going to come down with it more often than not. And I think
that's going to be so great for Brock Purdy to have.
Say this. It's not a 50-50 ball when you throw it to Mike Evans. It's a 80-20 ball.
I like
80%
that.
I'm going to catch it, or it's going to get batted away.
I like those odds.
And then you brought in Deebo Samuel on a relatively cheap contract. And you know what? Say what you will about him. Knows the offense. Looks like he's in the best shape in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I guess Bonte was at practice yesterday, and he was tweeting out all sorts of raves and praises for DB. He said he looks like prime Deebo yesterday, which... Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
And he's not your prototypical training camp player, right? Like, it's not going to look, the route running's not going to look sexy with Deebo Samuel, but that's not who he is. I didn't bring him in here to be Devontae Adams.
He's our yak guy.
Yeah, he's the guy that is the Swiss Army knife or the weapon X, if you will. That's what Shasky likes to say, of Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Wolverine.
Give him the ball, give him some space, let him cook. Okay, great. Christian Kirk, we'll see. Been hurt. I have no idea what to make of the guy. He means nothing to me as far as a San Francisco 49er.
He's in I'll believe it when I see it mode. What am I seeing? I don't know.
But a guy that is in, wow, this guy looks pretty good mode right now is De'Zhaun Stribling. And by all accounts, I can only go off my eyeball in the preseason game. Looked pretty freaking good. Training camp has looked good. Joint practices has looked good. He's checked all the boxes you need from him thus far. Again, stay healthy. That's great. Okay. All of a sudden, wide receiver is a positive, where last year it was viewed more of like a net neutral / negative for the team. That is a huge, huge plus and bonus for this squad, because you are going up against the best defense, maybe the best 2 defenses in all of football. Obviously, the defending champs, the Seattle Seahawks, incredible. Nick Eamon-Warry, Devin Witherspoon just got paid over the weekend, Sam. You go across, DeMarcus Lawrence, right? You got, who's my guy? He's my favorite right now on the Hard Knocks. Leonard Williams, Derek Hall. They just got studs. Byron Young, like just everywhere. They got studs, right? I haven't even mentioned the offensive line and Jackson Smith-Njigba and Sam Darnold looks like he's coming into his own as an NFL quarterback now. Okay. You also have the Rams. And I'm waiting for the breaking news, guys, at any moment, by the way. Aaron Donald signing this week.
He worked out again this weekend. What's going to happen? Like, just do it.
Just hit the breaking news so we can talk about it.
Come on, just sign the contract, Aaron. We all know. Stop playing around. Stop teasing us. We all know what's going on.
He likes to milk it. Why not? He's earned that right. He's a Hall of Famer.
Just dumb. Just do it.
Him, Myles Garrett. They brought in Trent McDuffie. They brought in Jalen Watson to shore up that secondary for the Rams. Because that was, what got picked apart in the NFC Championship game against the Seattle Seahawks. Anyways, I say all that to say this. You have revamped the athleticism on offense. That's great. That's great. Defensively, though, I got major question marks. And if we're still relying, I bring this back to Nick Bosa.
Regarding the 49ers, right? Yeah.
If you're still relying on Nick Bosa to be that game changer and game wrecker this year, I think you got major problems. Not to say that he can't still contribute. I'm just third ACL, guys. I'm having a hard time buying into Nick Bosa being that difference maker week in and week out. And maybe, just maybe, he might have to be that third down kind of specialist at times so you can preserve his body. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Who's going to step up alongside him, right? You're hoping in the interior, right? It's Osa Odigizua, who you brought in via trade. You're hoping it's going to be that guy, right? You're hoping Alfred Collins can make another jump. You're hoping CJ West can make another jump. I can't even talk about Micah Williams, guys, right now. I have no idea. No one knows with his recovery status coming off a torn ACL. I have no idea. We'll see with him. We'll just leave him to the side. And then Romello Height. Like, are we expecting a rookie to be that impactful to start this year off? I don't know. That sounds like a lot.
I mean, if you're basing off of the first preseason game, which, I don't base a whole lot off the first preseason game. No, probably not.
Okay. So if the name of the game is to get to the quarterback and rush the quarterback, I'm having a hard time who's going to be doing that on this defensive line. I love the linebacking core. I love Dre Greenlaw. I love Fred Warner. Hell, this guy, Jaden Duggar, again, teach me how to Duggar. We'll see. I like their depth there all of a sudden now. Secondary, again, that's a we'll see for me. I love De'Amon Lenoir. I love De'Amon Lenoir. I think he's one of the most underrated corners in the NFL. Jair Brown, though, Malik Mustafa,
He's good when he doesn't miss tackles.
Renato Green, getting chewed out by Kyle Shanahan in the biggest game of the season.
He'll grow up.
Okay, Upton Stout, solid at times. Solid, make some plays last year. Again, we talk ourselves into some of these guys. And I know Shasky doesn't bring up Marquis Siegel. We talk ourselves into some of these guys like they were really good last year. No. They made plays on a secondary that was god-awful. They made some plays at times. Now it's not about just making plays. It's about being consistent and consistently good. And I don't know who could be consistently good on the secondary outside of De'Amon Lenoir. I say all that to say, though, Sam, and I have a point, I promise, and I appreciate your patience here. How can I expect this team to be a Super Bowl or NFC contender when the two best teams are not only in their conference, but directly in their division, in the Los Angeles Rams, who are a better version of who they were last season, top to bottom? I believe that. And they were still one of the best teams in the NFC. They were in the top two, obviously, in that NFC Championship game going to Seattle. And then, obviously, the defending champs, Seattle Seahawks. How can I sit here with a straight face and tell you and the people that they're a Super Bowl contender or an NFC contender when those two teams are just clearly better than you right now? They're better.
Yeah. No, they do.
Not just better. I think they are significantly better than you right now.
No,
Do I sound like a hater?
No, I think you sound like a truther, and there's a very wide gap between these two teams right now on paper and on the field. It's with the Niners. that gap probably disappears if everybody's healthy and plays up to expectation, which, yeah, is very possible. I think, listen, if you're asking me who's going to be the healthier team this year, the Warriors or the Niners, I'd probably put my faith in the the Niners to be the healthier of those two teams.
Well, yeah, if you're relying on Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis to stay healthy.
That sounds wild to say that I say the Niners are the healthier team, but it's the world we live in. Let's look at the Nick Bosa aspect of this first, because I do think a big part of the Niners' ability to compete is going to be built on his ability to get to the quarterback.
Scares the hell out of me that they're relying on him this heavily.
I'm not that worried because I know when Bosa's healthy, he's as dominant as he can be. He takes care of his body. He didn't rehab with the team, which makes me think that his rehab went pretty well versus other guys that rehab around the team. Like, Bosa has a benefit of the doubt that I'm willing to extend to him and see what he can do with it. Him working off on the side on the baby field, doing what he needs to do to get ready. I mean, he is coming off the ACL. He is also a guy who I don't need to see him in any preseason games. In fact, I don't think he's ever played in a preseason game, if I'm not mistaken there. Bosa has enough equity that he's built up on the field that I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that when he does get out there, he will be the Nick Bosa that we expect him to be. Now, if he gets out there and he's not, that'll suck. But we'll cross that bridge. So I'm not tripping out over Nick Bosa right now. Now, what is he doing on the baby field? Is he getting his work in, or is he just there because he's doing a hold in? I'd be kind of surprised if he actually was trying to do a hold in, because he doesn't have the leverage to do a hold in here, and like who's trying to do a hold in to get a new contract coming off of a third ACL?
That doesn't make sense to me either.
No, maybe he's he's crazy like a fox and doing that. I don't know, but let's just say it. I would be blown away and a little disappointed if we get breaking news sounder week 1 of the season. Nick Bosa has been extended. I am not extending him past this year at all right now.
How big is the gap right now with the San Francisco 49ers and the top 2 teams in the NFC West, the Rams and the Seahawks? Do Niner fans view a significant gap between them like I do? I almost view the same gap with the 49ers and the rest of the NFC and those top 2 teams like I do with the Warriors in the Oklahoma City Thunder and San Antonio Spurs. Now, there's a lot better collection of talent in between those teams and the Warriors as well, where I still would put the 49ers, with teams like the Packers, teams like the Lions, teams like the Bears. I think they're in that mix right now, but I think they're a tier below those top 2. I think the Golden State Warriors are like 2 or 3 tiers behind the Spurs and where the Thunder are.
Oh, no, the Warriors are in the you might get into the play-in game tier. The Niners are in the, you're probably maxing out of the division round. Like, they're what I call a stepping stone team, in that those are the teams that win the championship step on their way to a championship. That's no one likes hearing that as a description, but every league has those teams. The Blazers were that for years. Yeah. The Pelicans were that for a minute in the playoffs.
The Utah Jazz.
The Jazz are that team. The Rockets were the personal stepping stone for the Warriors for many, many years. So it's every year there's, the Buffalo Bills are essentially a stepping stone team for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. So that's, you don't want to be that, which sucks. But I think right now that's kind of what the Niners are right now, is they are the team that the eventual Super Bowl winning team, or the team that's going to go to the Super Bowl, beats in the playoffs, and they'll hopefully push them more than they did against the Seahawks. And oh God, that's so depressing to say out loud though, because that's what happened last year. They were the stepping stone. You don't want to be the stepping stone, unfortunately, but you don't want to be that. Hopefully you can be the stepping stone that falls out from underneath that team. You end up getting the upset on them. That's pretty cool, which is what they did to the Eagles. But
am I being too hard on the 49ers right now, saying there's a significant gap between them and where the Seahawks and Rams are at?
No. I think if you're basing off last season, no. There's an optimistic Niner fan in his car right now that's screaming bloody murder at you right now,
Well, I'd like to hear the more optimistic Niner fans.
Call in 888-957-9570. Call in, and instead of screaming bloody murder at your radio, scream bloody murder at us as to why we're wrong.
I don't think, though, that a lot of the Niner fans feel that way. I think most Niner fans are in kind of my line of thinking, in that let's wait and see how the season plays out. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of Niner fans are in wait and see mode. They were pleasantly surprised that they were able to contend last year, given all the injuries that they had, but they knew there was a ceiling on it. Now, the players are coming back. We'll see if they're all healthy week 1. I know George Kittle spoke to the media And he said there's potentially plays in week 1 in Australia, which would be crazy to me. He sounds pretty confident that he's not going to be on the PUP list to start, which I think it would be huge for them. That means he'd have to miss the first 4 games if you're on the PUP list, Sam, the physically unable to perform list. Which again, just adds another element to the offense. The offense I'm not worried about, quite frankly. At least wide receiver and the pass catching ability. We'll see with Christian McCaffrey and the running backs. But you got Brock Purdy, you got Kyle Shanahan. You'll figure it out. It's really the defense for me, which has me scratching my head about the gap right now in the NFC. Not to say that the Niners can't do some things and be a playoff team. I just don't know if that's going to be what I'm hanging my hat on after the season's over. If they don't win it, I still think it could be viewed as a success if you were able to develop some of these young guys, like a Kalen Black, like a Romello Height, right? If De'Zhaun Stribling ends up being your wide receiver 1 after this season, he has a huge rapport.
I see,
with Brock Purdy.
If you fall short of an ultimate goal, if you're seeing a roster that's projecting out or suggesting that better days are ahead.
Correct.
And I'll agree with that, because my take, and it, not a great take, but if you're not going for the championship, the next best thing is you're doing things that are progressing things forward towards a championship. Like, not a lot of athletes probably don't like that. I asked Logan that last year, Logan Webb. It's like, hey, do you feel like you're at least moving closer? She's like, no, it doesn't matter. If we're not winning, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go over here and not be around here. Let's focusing on the offense first.
Yeah.
Let me throw 2-ish hypotheticals at you. One is the George Kittle hypothetical. Let's say he is cleared, everything, his body is fully healthy or as healthy as it possibly can be going into week 1.
Yeah. Does
that change your view of the gap between, let's just say, the Rams and the Niners, since the Rams are going to be that week 1 opponent? And let's, for the fun of it, since we're having fun here, and this is sports talk, this was fun, we're having fun. Let's say Bosa is fully healthy too.
Okay.
Bosa and Kittle are fully healthy week 1 against the Rams. Do you feel any different about the gap between the Niners and the Rams in this hypothetical situation?
If they are fully healthy and contribute and look like the George Kittle that we've grown accustomed to the last handful of seasons in the Hall of Famer, and Nick Bosa looks like, one of the
Bosa
best
from week 1 last year.
Okay, if they look like that, potentially.
See, I'll say, since this is my second hypothetical, the impossible hypothetical, if you could toggle the Madden switch and turn injuries off.
They're not going to be those same versions, because there's no one that could be that version after a third ACL injury, and George Kittle's
that doesn't mean they still can't be productive players out there.
But I'm questioning how productive.
I think you said it before the show. You want Kittle to be in his Travis Kelce area, where he's basically a receiver more than a blocker. Antonio Gates or Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham was basically a receiver at the last few years of his career. I think if Kittle's doing more lining out wide and not blocking as much, I think you can get a little bit more offensive production out of there. What that means for the run game, I don't know. Luke Farrell was not the blocking tight end that I thought he would be last year. He needs to be better this year. Bosa, listen, the third ACL is concerning there, but I'm not writing Bosa off until I absolutely have to, and I don't think we absolutely have to yet at this point. And so I'm willing to put my faith in Bosa being on the field week 1, healthy, ready to go, as healthy as he can be ready to go. And in that situation, I do feel confident that he will produce in that game. Same thing with George Kittle. I'm not going to pencil in George Kittle for 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, but being Brock Purdy's kind of escape outlet in that week 1 matchup, with taking that pressure off of Evans, Deebo, and Stribling down the field, I absolutely believe that's possible too. And if that's the case, I think that Niners can actually march into Melbourne week 1 and come away with a win there that no one expects them to get.
What is the gap right now in the NFC West comparing the Rams and Seahawks to the 49ers? I'll give you a couple options. Is it a small gap? Is it medium? Is it Grand Canyon-esque? Is it large? Is there no gap? Do you view the 49ers on the same level as the Seahawks and Rams? Football is interesting because it's not like for like with the NBA. The reason the Warriors are not beating the Oklahoma City Thunder and Spurs, it's not because they can't beat them in one game. Steph drops 50, he could beat anyone in one game. We've seen that, right? Playing game against the Clippers, right? Draymond, maybe he has a great game, and we've seen it against Wemby one game, and they win a game in the series. Totally could happen. But it's a series, like I just said. You're not winning 4 against either of those squads as currently constructed. And God love Mike Dunleavy. He could feel like when Jimmy comes back healthy, or semblance of health comes back and he contributes, him and Moody, maybe they could take anyone on a given series. I don't buy that. But in a winner take all, one game scenario like the NFL playoffs is, sure. You could have a scenario like you had last year going to Philadelphia against a relatively healthy Philadelphia Eagles squad at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia and come away with an upset. Like that can happen. So I'm not here to say that there's no scenario in which, the Niners can't go into, Levi South at SoFi Stadium and beat the Rams in a playoff game when I just saw them win on Thursday Night Football, for God's sakes, right? Down there with no one, throwing a Kendrick Bourne, and Mac Jones was starting in that game.
If you got Shanahan, you got Brock, you got a chance.
But can you do that the week after against the Seahawks? Could you do that another week against the Chicago Bears? See, that's where I do view them similarly to the Golden State Warriors. I don't know if they have the depth to be able to win 1, 2, and 3 against the top teams in the NFC. I do think there is a medium to large size gap right now between where the Rams are at, where the Seahawks are at, and where the Niners are at. Still think the Niners are a playoff team, but there's levels to playoff teams as we're discussing. Like the Lakers. Lakers were a playoff team last year. Beat the Rockets in round 1. Then what happened in round 2? Got swept against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were a legit playoff team.
Stepping stone team.
But they were a stepping stone team. Is that how you're viewing the 49ers?